This is Mario Murillo. You know, I'm going to do something I've only done 4 times in 3 years. I'm going to ask for your help. We don't do that. And we only do it when God tells us to. And the day that I've chosen to make this announcement, which is very big, is the first day of Pride Month. It's June the 1st. And imagine this. We're celebrating one of the 7 deadly sins, pride. And it comes right before a fall. Now, I'm not going to pick on any community or say anything hateful, but I'm going to tell you we've gone a long road down to an American death spiral. And this spiral is so clear and so imminent that there are things that I know that I can't even tell you about. But it will convince you, if I did, that things are much worse than you know. So we need something. Simply put, I went to God and I realized that the condition of the United States of America that will affect you and our children and our future immediately was so dire that the Lord said, I want you to stop everything. I've gotten rid of all my long-range plans. I don't have a 5-year plan. What I have now is a plan that is absolutely essential. All reasoning has gone out the window in favor of the urgency of the hour we're in. We've got to change what we're doing. And Murillo Ministries didn't realize we were being prepared for this for the last 55 years. What's about to happen, we've been getting ready for it. We are a sword that God has been sharpening the edge of for 55 years. And now we're ready. And God has given me a plan. And that plan is simply to reach millions instead of just thousands. Now, the crowd you see behind me was at a miracle service on a Saturday night in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was in the Oral Roberts University Mabee Center, in which a couple of thousand people were turned away after over 12,000 got inside. It's time to multiply that all over America. Now, there are 3 things that we're about to lose. We're about to lose them, and you can't miss this. One is the destruction of our freedom and our nation. They're about to take our country away. And it's our leaders that are doing it. Our leaders have declared war on us. Second is the harvest. Not even in the Jesus movement have I seen such a devastating hunger for God in America as I see right now, and it's a massive paradox. We're in a moral landslide. People hate God. We've got more filth and vileness being projected in the schools, through the media and everything else, but at the same time, millions of Americans are reaching out to God. And it got to the point in the tent where I said to God, I can't take it anymore. I walked out. We are at the end of ourselves. In fact, let me explain what's happening to MMM right now. It's from the book of Amos. The plowman is overtaking the reaper. Let me explain what that means. Let's read the verse. Amos 9:13 says, Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when the plowman will overtake the reaper. That means a crop so vast, a harvest so gigantic, that it took all winter into the spring to collect it, and people that never see each other, the harvester and the planter. While the ground was, they came to plow up the ground, and the harvesters are still there. That's us. For every 5 souls that get saved in our meetings, we have 1 worker. 5 to 1. All of our resources are exhausted. Whatever material we give away, we can't keep up because souls want Jesus so much. On the streets, our workers are leading souls to Christ in record numbers. And you got to understand, we don't do surface evangelism. We need people to repent and turn from their sin and receive God's Spirit. So when our workers are on the streets and they're leading a soul to Christ, and someone taps them on the shoulder and says, when you're done praying with them, please pray with me. I need Jesus too. The third thing we're about to lose. Remember, the country, the harvest. We're about to lose the harvest. There's not enough altar calls, not enough workers, not enough ministers are aware of the need that Jesus described in John 4:35. It says in the Living Translation, you say the harvest is way off, but I tell you it's right now. Millions of human souls are ripening all around you. Pray the Lord of the harvest. That's where we're at. I'm desperate. The third is our children. It's all about our children. You realize that this nation that you're in right now, you're going to be gone, and your child and your grandchild is going to live in it without you. Whatever world they're going to be in, you're going to have to deal with it now. Here's how Thomas Paine said it. If there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace. And this single reflection, well applied, is sufficient to awaken every man to duty. That's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to wake you up to understand that I'm not begging for money. I'm begging for souls, and I'm begging for the opportunity to reach millions. Now, God made me a promise. It's found in Isaiah 54. I want to start reading that right now. Isaiah 54, starting at verse 2. Enlarge the place of your tent, and let them stretch out the curtains of your dwellings. Do not spare. Lengthen your cords, strengthen your stakes, for you shall expand to the right and the left, and your descendants will inherit the nations and make the desolate cities inhabited. Winston Churchill begged America for money to fight Hitler. Before we entered the war, he gave a speech that has echoed through history. And in it, he said something to Franklin Delano Roosevelt: give us the tools and we will finish the job. I, Mario Murillo, am in a war that you can see every day on the internet. The wheelchairs that are being emptied, entire gangs that are being converted, thousands that are coming to Christ everywhere we go. And yet I can't sleep. I can't stop grieving over the limitations we are facing. That is crazy. It is absolutely crazy that we're in this situation. Now, when God made this promise to me, I said I would obey him, and he gave me a plan. Before I mention this plan, I want you to understand how absolutely committed I am as your evangelist to do this to save America. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to ask you to help me to learn 6 things that we're going to do that will change us from a ministry that is reaching thousands to one that is reaching millions. And I want you to see why you should be involved. Enlarge the tent. Our tent overflows. Every 18 months, we've had to buy a new tent that was twice the size of the one before. Now we need a 7,000-seat tent. We need a larger stage. We need lighting. I got to buy 4,000 chairs. I've got to buy heavy equipment that will help people to put up these massive poles. The crowds are coming, and the harvest is great. We need that tent. That's number 1. Number 2, God said, stretch the curtains of your dwelling. Phoenix was the tent crusade that had nearly 1 million people watching it on the internet. We have never seen anything like that. Hundreds of thousands, maybe, but 1 million, that's new. So what are we doing? We are building a studio, a media center. It's going to be 3,000 feet, 3,000 square feet in size, and 19 feet high. We'll have state-of-the-art equipment to produce content. Do you know how much television time costs? It costs millions of dollars. Do you think I'm going to spend that when we have a vast audience on social media that's listening every day for free? No, our money is going to go into the hardware and the software and the technology, and we can do it. Third, God said, do not spare. That means nothing that's in our bank account is safe. I've got to pour it out now. I got no 5-year plan. It's now or never. Number 4, lengthen your cords. We are building a 20,000 square foot warehouse that is designed to be a fast strike capability facility. It's got 8 large doors, 20,000 square feet. We've laid half a mile of pavement. It's designed for a semi-truck to drive into the warehouse in one door and go out the other. We're going to leave those trucks loaded and ready to go. The tents, more than one. We'll end up with 4. They'll be loaded. The chairs will be loaded. The equipment will be loaded. Not only that, but we have expanded by buying a $400,000 media trailer. We invested in it. We went from a 3-camera presentation to 5 in 4K, and the difference was enormous, and you can see it. Now, then it says expand to the right and the left. This is the most important point of all. I'm going to tell you that I never make predictions about the future. I never do that because I've seen so much abuse. I don't consider myself a prophet, but this time I'm going to go against the grain and tell you what God spoke to me. He rebuked me and said, don't you dare say that a city is closed. It's not. Don't ever say that a city is closed. Be ready to go to the places that the church has written off. That includes the blue state cities, San Francisco, New York City, Chicago, Seattle. All the cities that everyone says God can't reach, the Spirit of God spoke to me. Go there and you're going to see miracles and a turning. Now, let's be honest. Do we want to save America or not? Let's quit playing games. Let's quit toying with the idea. Let's quit messing around. I haven't come to you for help in a long, long time, but now I must. And I want to go back to one thing that Thomas Paine said. He said, a simple reflection on the fact that it's about our children should awaken every person to their duty. So I'm going to ask all of you to give. I'm going to ask those who are wealthy, that have been patrons of our ministry, to open the floodgates. We need millions of dollars, and we need it now. And I will turn that money into effective signs and wonders soul winning through the media, through live outreach, and you will see it wherever you go. And you'll be able to say that on that day, on the day that we are celebrating as a nation, perversion was the day that we began to take our country back on a level we never imagined. How can you give? There are 3 ways that you can give. The first is you can mail a check made out to MMM to Box 408, Lafayette, Tennessee. Zip code is 37083. That's the first way. The second is go and use the link below that's provided to immediately give so that God can activate your seed in the worthiest cause that I can imagine. Finally, you can text MMM to 77977. But I want to finish with one final heart-to-heart statement. Have you noticed when offerings are taken or money is raised today by many ministries, they talk a great deal about how God will multiply it back. He'll rebuke the devourer. I believe that. He'll make you the head, not the tail. I believe that. That if you give, it'll be returned, pressed down, shaken, and flowing over. Those are the words of Christ. But I believe that when you see that as the dominant 30, 45-minute appeal in an offering, there's an underlying motivation that you need to understand. They're not showing you their results. They're not talking about their effectiveness. Since they can't give you a detailed account of what's happening with your money, They rely on the sales pitch of what God will do if you give. Now, I'm not saying that if you give, God won't bless you, but that can't be the number one reason that you give. The number one reason was given in Mark chapter 10, verse 29, 30, where Jesus said, "No one that has left house or brethren or wives or lands for my sake and the gospel will not receive 100-fold in this life." Now, what is the motivation? You give it to Jesus and you give it to the gospel. America doesn't have a lot of time. We're in a death spiral. Whatever you're doing, do it now, because this ministry is going to literally pour itself out as a living sacrifice to reach millions. Thank you for listening, and thank you for giving. God bless you, and God bless America.